It's been 6 years since I have reviewed PowerNomics by Dr. Claud Anderson. Have my views changed? Let's take a look. On page 44, Ethno Abrogation encourages blacks to unify as a people as an alternative to seeking to unite with others. It encourages blacks to pool their resources. Ethno aggregation. When I started my company 6 years ago, I had been reading about African history, African American history, and my eyes had become opened. And so anyway, and that was like the catalyst that made me say, I need to start my own business. I should have started the video by saying that this is going to be a lengthy video. I'm just going to post like 15 minutes of the video on YouTube because the original book review was like almost 45 minutes long. So if you want to see this video in its entirety, it's going to be posted on Ronald Dalton's website, his H2N TV. And that's where all of my book reviews are. So you got to check it out. So ethno aggregation is really about us unifying, okay? Black individuals coming together. You have this skill set, I have this skill set, and we're supposed to pool our resources and come together. Unify, unify, unify. And what I have learned implementing the PowerNomics principles, setting up my practice in a predominantly Black community, hiring predominantly Black people has been a challenge and many times a source of contention. How do we unify when many of us have this crabs in a barrel mentality? You know, this PowerNomics is a beautiful book. It's a solid book. But if we have this mentality where we can't celebrate others, we're jealous of others, how can we build? How can my company grow if the people that I hire aren't really happy that they're working for a successful Black couple? Like there's this resentment, and I've seen it firsthand. And I tell you that for the first 4 years, I would say that a week did not go by without me coming home and saying to my husband, something's wrong with our people. Something is wrong with our people. And I knew that it wasn't just about our history of slavery, of our ancestors being enslaved, and that just doesn't go away just because slavery ended, and just the constant oppression and everything that went along with that. I had the basic knowledge of it. I had spent I think maybe 3 years just reading book after book after book. But I said something else. It's something else. And 2 years ago, this book, Ronald Dalton's book, From Hebrews to Negroes, came into my life. And I said, now I got my answer. Now I have my answer. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and the verses 54 to 57 talks about how the Israelites will have an evil eye towards one another. It starts off talking about a young man having an evil eye towards his brother, towards his wife, towards his children. And then the subsequent verses talks about how a woman will have an evil eye towards her children. And basically, a family makes up a community. It makes up a nation. We are the Israelites. Africans throughout the diaspora who have been scattered to the four corners of the earth. We fit the description in the 28th chapter of Deuteronomy. And this is why we can't unify. Even though this is a brilliant blueprint, this book is, I think, almost 30 years old. Brilliant ideas, a brilliant blueprint, but why hasn't it worked? I have tried to put this into practice, and what I have learned is you can't override what the Most High has ordained. But another thing that I learned from Hebrews to Negroes and other Israelite teachers is there is only going to be a remnant of us that will make it. Only a remnant. And that is what I have found to be so true during these past 6 years. I just heard someone, I was watching his video. He's an entrepreneur. And he said, I don't even know this guy. He said that 90% of the black people he hired, it doesn't work out. And I thought to myself, my goodness, because I would say that it's a minimum of 85% of the black people that I have hired, it has not worked out. It has been a complete headache. That percentage is so high. And that's because the 15 to 10% that are left, that's that remnant. That's that remnant that that's going to do right. That's going to be able to unify. All right, let's continue. As I was reading PowerNomics, I saw myself throughout this book. I saw how I was contributing to the demise of our community. And I'm using the word community very loosely because one of the many things that I learned from Dr. Anderson is that black people, we really don't have communities. We have neighborhoods. We have places where we eat and sleep. And then we leave our neighborhoods and we go to other people's communities and we enrich those people with our skills, our talents, our labor. And I was guilty of that. So I had really lost touch with our community. And so when I started reading PowerNomics and just learning about my history, I realized I was one of the guilty ones. I was that black professional that had left my community. And other groups of people do not behave this way. They may go away to get their education, but they come back. And black people don't come back. After I read this book, I made a list of all of the black-owned businesses in my area. I posted it on my refrigerator. It's still on my refrigerator so that I could be more cognizant of where and how I spend my money. Every other group does this. Every other group does this, except for black people. Okay, so even if you have never owned your own business where you hire people, you have a building, you have a mortgage on the building, whatever. If you have never if you don't have that experience. But I know for a fact, if you're Black, you have the experience of going to a Black-owned business and not having the best experience. That happened to me. It was a Black-owned nail salon. So this is, during my, pro-Black days, and I'm still pro-Black. I am. But I just know I can't override what the Most High has ordained. But anyway, I was going to a Black-owned nail salon 45 minutes away from my home. This woman, her prices were double than what you would pay at an Asian-owned salon. And her work wasn't better than the Asians, but it was about the same. So, but this woman had such a nasty attitude. And I think that, maybe as Black people, well, it comes from that self-hatred, but I don't know if we feel like, well, you have to come and patronize my business because I'm Black. And if you don't, then you're a sellout, And I believe that people that I have hired who have come into my business and they have done subpar work, feels like I'm going to tolerate it because I'm Black. And if you fire me, then you're a sellout. No, that's not always the case. It's not always the case. I will say that I tolerated this woman for a whole year. It could have been longer, but it definitely was a year. And just the nasty sister girl attitude. And here it is, I'm supposed to be going to a salon to pamper myself, and yet I'm coming into your salon and it's like I'm walking on eggshells. But I tolerated that because I felt like I was just trying to, look at the bigger picture. Okay, because Dr. Claud Anderson taught us, like, look, we don't have to like each other. We're at war. And other groups of people, they don't like each other, but they can see the bigger picture, so they come together and they still support each other. So I tried, but it just got to the point where she was so effing disrespectful, and I finally said to myself, like, I don't have to do this. I'm driving 45 minutes from my home, passing umpteen Asian-owned nail salons who can do just as good of a job, and I can pay half. And the money, it wasn't even about the money. I didn't care that I was paying double. So I do go to an Asian-owned nail salon. I haven't given up on our people. I still, there are a lot of Black-owned businesses that I patronize. So yes, the Asian salon that I go to, this salon is near one of my locations, and very nice. I don't know how they feel deep in their heart about me, but at least they have the business acumen to fake it. And that's something that we need to learn. All right, let's continue. In politics, Dr. Anderson talks about us voting as a block. And it's very important to vote as a block. The problem is we actually do vote as a block. We're very loyal to the Democratic Party. Politics and voting, I'm not interested in that anymore. My views have changed on that. It doesn't matter who's in office. For me, it doesn't matter if it's a Republican in office, if it's a Democrat in office. I'm still going to be good.